How to set up these fouls. Okay, so Ramesh, come toward the basket slowly. Wait. Come. Harun makes contact with Ramesh with the front of his wheelchair. Okay? No. This is how he makes contact. This is a foul. Harun is not allowed to use the front side of his wheelchair to make contact with an offensive player or to hold him. Does everybody understand that? That's the most basic type of foul. This is an offensive foul on on Ramesh, because Harun has put the side of his wheelchair in legal guarding position and given Ramesh space to stop his wheelchair. Ramesh did not use this space to avoid the contact, so it's an offensive foul because he did not control his wheelchair. Okay, now Ramesh, come forward. Harun, turn in at the last second. So Harun uses the side of his wheelchair to make the contact, but he does not give Ramesh space to stop his chair to avoid the contact. So this is a foul on Harun. He has to give him space to avoid the contact. Next example. Harun and Ramesh are moving down the court parallel to each other. They're going the same direction. Okay? Harun turns sideways. So here, Harun turns into the line of Ramesh. So this, he still has to give him space to stop before the contact. So Harun cannot turn directly into the line, especially when Ramesh has the ball. Ramesh is moving on a line. He knows where Ramesh's wheelchair will end up, and he needs to go to that spot and turn his chair before Ramesh arrives. So give him the space before the contact happens. There. So both players are moving on a line toward each other, and they have contact. If this contact does not create a major disadvantage for either player because they do not have the ball, generally the referee will not call this a foul because they are both following their path and they collide. No one is injured, no one falls out of his chair, no one is disadvantaged by the play. So we say no foul. The play continues. Now, if Harun takes a line into the side of Ramesh's wheelchair, that changes because now Harun is creating the contact. Ramesh is following his line and Harun creates contact with the front of his wheelchair, so the referee could call this a foul. It's a very important point to distinguish for the referees and for the players to understand that the game is officiated slightly differently if a player has the ball than if neither player has the ball, because the player with the ball has to do more to control his wheelchair. He is given slightly preferential treatment. So if Ramesh has the ball and Harun creates minor contact, that's going to be a foul every time. If Ramesh doesn't have the ball, both players are moving, and there's minor contact, not a foul. Unless Harun holds Ramesh's wheelchair and stops him from moving.
Sir, I have a question.
You can put your hand in front of a player's face, but you can't wave your hand. And obviously, if you touch his face in any way, it's a foul. When you're playing defense, you should remember that if you imagine a circle being drawn around your wheelchair, on all sides of your wheelchair, if you play defense with your whole body inside this circle above your wheelchair, as long as you have position with your wheel, you're not going to be called for a foul. As soon as you leave the cylinder or the circle above your wheelchair to reach outside, then if you make contact with your wheelchair or with your body, it's going to be a foul. So stay within your wheelchair, keep your wheel in front of the offensive player, and you will be okay. reach outside the cylinder like this and make contact, and you're going to be called for a foul. So if you take your hands off your wheels, even if you're inside your cylinder and your wheelchair then rolls into an offensive player, it's going to be a foul because you need to control your wheelchair. So I recommend you keep your hands here so you can always be in control of your chair. Okay, so we talked about the difference between having the ball and having no ball. Now, if a player is shooting, there is even more of a difference. When a player is shooting, if a defensive player makes any contact, even very light contact to the chair, it's always considered a foul because you're knocking a player off balance. He cannot take a good shot even if you slightly bump his wheelchair. So, put the ball up to shoot. If you hit his arm, it's a foul. But if you hit his wheelchair, even a little bit, it's also a foul. If the referee sees Ramesh with his both hands up and his wheelchair turns to the side, he knows you've hit him with your wheelchair and he'll call a foul for 2 shots. So, the back of your wheelchair, when you're on defense, is considered the same as the front of your wheelchair by the referee. The only place you can create contact with an offensive player is this side or this side. If you take the back and create contact, it's a foul just like with the front. In the same way, I showed you how if Ramesh is attacking and Haroon holds his wheelchair with the front of his wheelchair on defense, even if Ramesh doesn't have the ball, it's a foul. If Haroon does the same thing to hold with the back of his wheelchair, it's also a foul. Okay, players, it's very important for you to understand. Your position on defense comes in front of the player so that the contact comes here. But as soon as you start to turn in to his line to create that contact, it's going to be a foul. You have to keep your position and let the contact happen without turning toward the player. Okay, now come behind Ramesh. Give Ramesh the ball. Okay, so Ramesh is coming to shoot. Haroon, I want you to come behind and try to block the ball from behind him. Now, Haroon goes to try to block the ball and touches the back of Ramesh's wheelchair. Foul. Cannot touch the back of the wheelchair when shooting. If he touches the back of the wheelchair and the referee thinks that the player is in danger because the contact is unsafe, then he can call a technical foul or a unsportsmanlike foul. Unsportsmanlike. So 2 shots and then the team takes the ball. It's almost impossible to block from behind without making contact with the wheelchair. Look how far Haroon would have to lean over. Only if Ramesh brings the ball way behind his head is this even possible. Otherwise, the contact has to happen with the wheelchair. So if a player is in front of you, you should not try to block the ball because you're going to hit him with your wheelchair and it could be a unsportsmanlike conduct foul. If Haroon holds Ramesh's wheelchair to prevent him from moving with his hand, this is an unsportsmanlike conduct foul, just like punching Ramesh in the back. It's the same thing. If you hold a player's wheelchair with your hand, the referee will call an unsportsmanlike conduct foul, 2 shots, and the player team gets the ball out of bounds. Okay, this is a very bad foul. Do not grab your opponent's wheelchair. If you have an unsportsmanlike foul and a technical foul, you're out of the game.